Aberdeen's Zoe Clark led the Brits off and struggled a bit after what has been a tiring week for the 22-year-old, but she kept her cool in the face of the expected supercharged start by the invincible Americans immediately to her left and handed over to Lavi Nielsen in a decent position. Following Saturday's semi-finals, at least a bronze looked there for the taking, but that all changed early in the second leg when Jamaica's Nightmare Championships continued as Anisha McLaughlin will be pulled up. Doyle produced a real skipper's dig in the third to establish GB firmly in second despite fading a bit towards the end. Emily Diamond nailed the anchor leg from that awkward target position ahead of the chasing pack and held off Poland as the Americans surged to gold by an incredible 6 seconds, giving Allyson Felix her 11th world gold, the same as Usain Bolt, although her total medal haul is 16 to the Jamaicans' 14. For Doyle, it was a second World Championship relay silver after the bronze won at Moscow in 2013 was recently upgraded to a silver due to the Russians being stripped of their medal for doping offenses. She and Diamond were also in the GB team which took bronze at the Rio Olympics last year. It's nice to get the medal on the night and have it as the correct color this time. "I'm over the moon," said Doyle. The 30-year-old from Perth achieved her pre-championship aim of reaching the final of her individual event, the 400 meters hurdles, though she was disappointed to finish last in that last Thursday. The relay joy brought the smile back for the Scot, who was voted by her teammates to lead them here in London. Meanwhile, the wait for an individual Scottish medalist to join Liz McColgan at World Championship level goes on as the 4 finalists all fell short last night. Laura Muir delivered the best performance as she produced a late fight back to place 6th in a high-class women's 5,000 meters final. Eilidh McColgan was a creditable 10th. There was disappointment at middle distance as both Chris O'Hare in the men's 1,500 meters and Lindsay Sharp in the women's 800 meters both finished last. It was expected that Olympic silver medalist and world leader Helen Obiri of Kenya and 10,000 meters champion Almaz Ayana of Ethiopia would dominate the race, but perhaps not by how much they eventually did. In the closing stages, Muir clawed herself closer and charged impressively in the last couple of laps, but further ahead it was Obiri who made the decisive surge for gold in 1,434.86, with Saifan Hassan of the Netherlands winning the battle for bronze behind the Ethiopian. Muir came in at 1,452.07, her best time over the distance outdoors, while McColgan posted an excellent 1,500.43, just 0.05 of a second outside the big personal best she set in the semi-final. "It was always going to be Obiri and Ayana," said Muir. "When they went I knew not to panic too much. I think I raced it really well, and I'm happy with how it went as a final." After finishing 4th in the 1,500 meters, the 24-year-old will now look to use this experience as a platform to push on to what many predict will be major medals in the future. "I knew I had a lot of rounds in my legs, so I had to pace myself and stay strong," she said. "I think I showed that over the last lap. To finish in the way I did makes me really happy. The African girls are so strong, so I am pleased with how I ran. There are lots of positives. In my heat I was a bit tired, but I showed I could come back and I raced well today in the final, which is what really mattered. I was so close to the medals, finishing 4th and 6th in the finals. 5 races in 10 days is a lot, so I think I can take a lot of positives. Going forward I believe there is a lot I can do competing at the 2 events." McColgan added, "It was totally different to what I expected it to be. I thought it would be fast from the start and we'd all be hanging on, but we were practically walking those first couple of laps. It's a shock to the system when you go from walking then into a fast pace, and I think that's definitely something I need to get used to doing. But I can't really be too disheartened as it's been 2 15-minute runs in the space of 3 days. My last 3 races have been worlds apart from where I've been competing for the last 5 years, so it's exciting. It's definitely progressed." There was frustration for both O'Hare and Sharp as they couldn't get into the medal mix in their respective finals and both trailed in. There was a Kenyan 12 in the 1,500 meters as Elijah Monangoy took gold and Timothy Chariot the silver ahead of Philip Ingebrigtsen of Norway. Favorite Caster Semenya of South Africa won the women's 800 meters in a blistering 155.16, with France's Neon Saba of Burundi taking silver and Audrey Wilson of the USA bronze. O'Hare said, "That third lap was just horrible for me and I was stuck in a horrible cadence, a horrible tempo. It was just rubbish.